Welcome to 303 Hoops, a whole lot more than the box score for you hoop junkies, number nerds, or just someone who loves basketball. This is for the love of the game. Live from 303, I'm Ryan Hinsky.
And I'm Caleb Bunch. And Ryan, we have a lot to discuss. We have talked all over the place, but we've talked college hoops. We haven't talked high school hoops. That'll be coming up, upcoming segment.
We've talked success stories.
Yeah.
The Detroit Pistons are still top of the East, actually the league.
12-2. Well, the Thunder have something to say about that.
Right.
But
still.
number 2, yeah.
Yeah, they're winning by a lot. Today, I don't know if we're going to have as many success stories. We will have some, but, you'll see when we get into it. But, not a great week for the New Orleans Pelicans.
No. Willie Green,
yeah.
Goodbye. So they're looking for their candidate right now. Obviously, they have interim, but that is an interesting
James Borrego,
team.
who's been around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's been around, yeah, exactly. Same with Willie Green, but we saw how successful he was with that. So it'll be interesting to see who they end up hiring. Yeah. That has a lot of young talent in that squad. So hopefully some coach can come in. We were talking Taylor Jenkins before we officially started recording. I don't know if he necessarily wants that job, but there's people to work with on that team. You have Herb Jones, you have Murphy, you have Poole, you have Zion. Like, there's players that are talented. You have Hawkins.
I really like Hawkins.
Like, you have young, talented players there.
Yeah.
I just think is really buy-in that you need, or a coach needs to have from those players. But
I would agree.
Enough talk of basketball. We're getting ahead of ourselves. We have something we have to discuss.
Basketball podcast. What do you mean? 303 hoops? No, 303 music.
Exactly.
No. Actually, this song is kind of, I've mentioned it before, but it's kind of a pun on what's happening. Blue and Green by Miles Davis and John Coltrane. Oh, man, this is one of the best jazz pieces that has ever been made, I think.
Yeah.
I love jazz music, big fan. I've heard this one live by a few bands who've covered it. It's just one of the best. I tried to learn it on piano when I was learning piano. Turns out it's a pretty difficult song to play.
Yeah.
But, even after firing Green, the Pelicans are feeling a little blue.
Good stuff there.
Blue and green.
I have a funny story about Miles Davis. So my cousin Butch, if you're watching Cousin Butch, thank you. His dad, so my grandfather's brother, so my great uncle, went to watch Miles Davis play one time in D.C., if I'm not mistaken. He showed up about 45 minutes late, played 2 notes, he went boop, and left.
Miles Davis?
Miles Davis. This is when he was older, though. This was like post-prime Miles Davis, post-kind of blue. So
what?
That was the one opportunity anybody in my family got to see him, and he played 2 notes and left. So, yeah, that's my Miles Davis story. But may he rest in peace. Amazing musician. John Coltrane, amazing musician. Great pieces.
That's horrible, though.
But interesting story. So, yeah.
Sorry about that, Cousin Butch.
Yeah. Your dad, that happened to him. So,
yeah,
he can confirm that story if he sees it in the comments. Man. But my song, I had a Lauryn Hill song. Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, the title track. It's not my favorite off the album, but I love it. It was the first song I woke up to today. That record is amazing.
Number 1, according to Apple Music.
All time?
All time.
Yeah. I know Rolling Stones has like top 10, so I didn't see the Apple Music list, but that's
Apple
awesome.
Music, I think it was Apple Music, put it as number 1.
Yeah, it's such a good
Someone did. And it was like Abbey wrote it too. It's like, that's like
right.
the pinnacle. But it really is a perfect album. And I was going to say, I'm glad you picked the title track because I feel like now I have a little bit more to work with because I felt like at some point I was going to have a Lauryn Hill song in 303 Hoops.
Yes.
So now I have more to work with.
You do.
Because I agree. It's not the best track on the album, but why did you pick this one specifically?
I just liked it a lot. I don't know. I feel like the other cuts off that record get a lot of love, like obviously X Factor, Doop, that thing, Tell Him, but I liked Miseducation. It's towards the bottom, so you have to make your way through that album. It's a longer album, but it's worth every second of the listen. So
2K15, I think, was the first time I heard Lauryn Hill.
Yeah.
It was Doo Wop.
Yeah. So
and that was on, I think it was 2K15. Might have been 16, but
it's so
good.
good.
That was my intro to Lauryn Hill, and there's no better no better place to be.
Yeah.
Than playing 2K. So
Yeah, exactly.
There's another basketball connection, but
yeah. So I know if you've done the intro to Lauryn Hill though with that album, you've pretty much gotten all of her albums. So
yeah,
hopefully she wants to make a comeback to music, but obviously it's not going to happen.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, Caleb, we talked a lot about. We started this show a few weeks ago talking a lot about Western Conference teams, but we find ourselves on back-to-back Tuesdays talking about impressive Eastern Conference teams.
Yes.
Back-to-back weeks. We had the Detroit Pistons, and now we've got the LeBronto Raptors.
They might lose that name this year depending on how well they play.
They'll always be LeBronto.
They're still LeBronto, the Cleveland man right here.
Yeah. I remember 2018
exactly.
More than
off the side.
Dude, that was crazy.
It's crazy.
One of the coolest buzzer beaters ever, and it's just
ridiculous.
And you forget that was a buzzer beater to go up 3-0 and then we swept them.
Yeah.
That
was on OG too, right?
I think it was. And it was a good team. The Raptors were the only team in the Cavs' way after they got past the Pacers, who took them to 7 games.
Right.
But now they're having their first sort of resurfacing since their championship, really.
Yeah.
Honestly.
They've had some years where they're kind of, figuring stuff out.
Then they lost Nick Nurse.
Sorting through the weeds. Yeah, they lost Nick Nurse. But now they might have their man in Darko.
Yeah.
That might be their coach of the future. He's young, 46. So I think they're liking what they're seeing this season so far with kind of their young core and the players that they brought in from last year, and then also just some of their younger guys as well, like in recent draft classes. So
great transactions.
Yeah.
I think they did a great job, even with their, the 3-team deal for Siakam. Getting a hold of R.J. Barrett and especially Emmanuel Quickley, who was kind of on my radar because there was in my dynasty league in basketball, which I don't do anymore. He was like my 3rd-round pick one year, and it was like he wasn't really on anyone's radar. But he's, I kind of liked him because he was on my team. And now he's like, a true he's a starting point guard. He's a legit starting point guard in this league, kind of out of nowhere. So they made that acquisition. They traded for Brandon Ingram. It was a sign-and-trade for Brandon Ingram.
Who the Pelicans are dearly missing right now.
Yes, indeed. And it seems like now the Raptors really didn't give up that much.
Right.
For sort of that veteran leader who, after last night, where it came down to the final seconds against the Hornets, but still, it seemed like Ingram was really happy to be there, was really happy to celebrate that win with his teammates. And I don't even know if he's had that in his career. He's kind of gotten unlucky with the teams he's been playing.
No, yeah. I mean, he was on the pre-AD Lakers.
Which was rough.
Let's be honest. Right. And so he kind of got shipped off when that whole trade happened. Then made his way to New Orleans, who he had some good years with, honestly. He was playing well. He was an all-star with them, right?
But the team just wasn't.
But the team just was not making any noise. It's New Orleans. But has kind of been forgotten about the last 2 years, I would say, just because of the injuries and not playing consistently. But now he's back on a squad that he seems happy to be with.
Yeah.
Right? He has young players around him that he seems to enjoy their company. And I think he's having a year to, look out for. I don't know if he's quite back at that all-star level that he was at, but they are playing well. They are top 4 in the East right now, which is not on my radar, if you asked me before the season started. Mm-hmm. But he's playing well, and their supporting cast, Scotty Barnes, you touched on Emmanuel Quickley as well, Jakob Hurtel, they're playing well, and it's good to see that out of the Raptors squad.
It is, and I really I liked them before the season, but I still put them at 10 on the conference standings. That was a mistake.
Yeah.
I don't think you had them.
I didn't have them.
But, it wasn't, it was like, exciting team, could have a future. It was kind of, I think I even said on episode 1 that they might have, or maybe I said off air, that they're kind of like where the Pistons were at 3 years ago.
Right.
Now, the Pistons didn't, they maybe had some one player that was kind of like a Brandon Ingram, but they kind of had to go get that player.
Right.
I'm thinking Tobias Harris, someone like that. Not as good as Brandon Ingram, but still when he's played, he's been unhealthy. He's been hurt a few times, but really good, just Tim Hardaway Jr. is another one where it comes in and is like a really good veteran presence. And they didn't have that. They were just so young. But Brandon Ingram's been that piece. They started 1-4, which wasn't really surprising. They've won 8 of their last 9, and they're 9-5.
They're hot.
Third in the standings. Last night in that Hornets game, Ingram had the game-winning pass to a go-ahead lefty layup by R.J. Barrett because he isn't going to go right. And then he made one of the 2 game-winning defensive plays, which is a little bit more towards the identity. Scotty Barnes had the real game-winning play, which was a block on Colin Sexton. Mm-hmm. But Ingram had 3 blocks and 2 steals in that game. He's never really been known as a good to great defensive player, but average or even slightly above average for a pushing 30s player is pretty good. They don't have an explosive offense, and they don't have a lockdown defense, but they have a roster that can do it all, a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And we've seen in the past, and that's the way the Raptors were built. It was kind of the way that the Pacers are built, and when they made a run last season. Just guys that play kind of smaller than they are, but then their length comes in when they need it. And this was what Nick Nurse kind of instituted in the post-championship, post-Kawhi era. It was like, let's go get 7-foot wingspans wherever we can. So the lineup looks like Emmanuel Quickley at 6'2".
Right.
Every other starter, other 4 starters, are 6'6" or taller.
Right.
They got 2 guys off the bench that are 6'7", Grady Dick and Colin Murray Boyles.
Yes.
South Carolina legend.
I was questioning that pick because at first I was like, I don't know how that's going to work. And I saw a shooting form, which I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to be
very raw talent.
Yes. I'm like, this is going to be a mess. But he's panned out for them. And he fits into that identity very well. Like long wingspan, kind of versatile player, able to slide in at that 3 spot, maybe play 4 a little bit. So it's like you can get a lot out of him.
It was kind of like Siakam when he was young.
Yeah.
It was like, can he fit? He's super raw, can't really shoot yet. Look at him now. I don't know. I feel like he can do it. And he's a really good build for a player as well. Nice for a raw talent. If you get 2 or 3 more years and this team gets really good, I can see him being just like a do-it-all off the bench kind of guy.
Yeah.
Just like Trevor Ariza, but in the length era of basketball.
Yeah, not small ball rockets.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to say, to my point there, 9th in offensive rating, 11th in defensive rating, 10th in net rating. That's a playoff team.
That is.
There's no gaping holes in their stats. There's nothing that really says, it's still a young season. They're like 14 games in. But there's nothing really that says, oh, I don't know about this. This stat really discounts them from being a playoff team.
Right.
And I just wanted to add at the end of my little take here. Last year, I was asked by my radio station social media manager what my hottest take for the season was. I said the Raptors would avoid the play-in and slot in at the 6th seed. I think I was a year too early, but I should have stuck with that, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know. Like, I think they'll still be in the play-in, let's be honest. But that's not so hot of a take this year as it was last year. And I'm really excited to see them keep playing because I really did like what they were doing with Nick Nurse. And then when you start over with a new coach, you just don't know.
Right.
I liked the players, but what the product on the court wasn't exactly what it is now. But it's pretty exciting. They're a fun team.
Yeah, no, they are. And I think what's interesting to me when looking at them, is they don't necessarily have a standout player. It's kind of a collaborative effort, right?
Yeah.
We talked about Ingram. We talked about Quickley, Dick, Hurdle, Barrett, Barnes, right? So you kind of have all these contributors that you're expecting to make some impact on the game for you guys. Like, they don't have a scorer above 21 points a game. It's like Ingram's averaging 20, and they don't even need it. Yeah. They're playing well with it. So it's kind of these versatile players that are contributing in different ways. And Scotty Barnes, my dad has been high on Scotty Barnes since he was at Montverde. And he texted me the other day and was like, Scotty Barnes, ! And I didn't even see what he did. But I was just like, okay, Dad. I was like, are you just thinking about Scotty right now? Like, what's the deal here? But he's played well for them. And I think he has a case to be made if they keep playing at this rate to be potentially on that all-NBA third team, looking at that, like, fringe player contender. But he's played well this year, and I'm happy to see that out of them because a lot of the questions I think coming in was where they were mature enough, right, starting the season to be able to take the next step because they are a super young team, especially with their young core. So, especially for their contributors, right? So, I think that's something to look out for. But one thing of note that I think is super important this year is for that team, a lot of like we talked about with the young core is like inexperience and maybe questionable decision making. They've made a leap in that category specifically. So looking at last year, they were at 1.8 assist to turnover ratio. This year they're at 2.1. And their assist percentage, while is down, ranks higher in the league. They're now top 10 in assist percentage, and I think that's really helped with their net rating as well. And last year they had a -4 net rating. This year, +4 net rating, and that offensive rating primarily skyrocketed from 109 to 117. So I think with players coming into who they are, having a more sound identity with their coach, having a second season under him, I think they're able to get a better idea of what they can really rely on and the players they can rely on as well.
Can I just say one more thing about the Raptors?
Yeah.
And this is about the NBA as a whole. This 2021 NBA draft class.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
3 of the top 4 picks could be NBA all-team.
Yeah.
Like, Jalen Green's the one exception, and even when he was drafted, people kind of knew that.
Right.
Let's be honest.
Yeah. They knew what they were getting.
Good player.
Right.
Yeah, the Rockets knew what they were getting with Jalen Green. But Cade Cunningham, Evan Mobley, Scotty Barnes, 3 of the top 4 picks. Josh Giddey's playing like he's Oscar Robertson at the 6th pick. Franz Wagner, Alperen Şengün.
Yeah.
The list goes on, but like when I was looking back this morning and like looking into the Raptors a little bit more, I was just like, okay, so we got Scotty Barnes is probably the leader of this team. Evan Mobley's defending DPOY and could win back-to-back Defensive Player of the Year awards. Cade Cunningham could win MVP.
Yeah, they keep playing at this rate, he will.
And it's like 2021, like
I know.
These guys are like mature NBA players now.
It's
like,
weird.
Time
it's
is
weird.
flying, but it's like 3 of the top 4 players are on like 3 of the top 4 Eastern Conference teams.
Yeah.
And they're the best player on that team probably, other than Donovan Mitchell. But Evan Mobley is the Cavs wouldn't be contenders without him.
Not at all.
So, I mean, it's just really impressive.
Yeah.
I like everything you said about the way that they're built and the bench and everything like that.
Yeah. I think it'll be interesting to see how they kind of had expectations. Like, I like the pick, Jamal Sheed.
Yeah.
I think crafty guard. Kind of same thing with Emmanuel Quickley. Not necessarily like someone you're looking for a defensive presence compared to what he was at Houston. Mm-hmm. But I think he's scrappy and give you good minutes off the bench. I think they brought him in a little early from last year. But I think
he played 20 minutes last night.
Right. Yeah. I think he's kind of maturing into that role, though. And I think when playoff basketball comes, you just need depth at the guard position to give you different looks. And I think Darko's trying that out right now, seeing what lineups work best for him. We've seen how well Barrett and Ingram have worked together. And then we also have seen how Quickly and Jakob Hurtel have looked together as well. So he's trying out different lineups, seeing what works best for that team. And it's working so far, 9-5. So
and having the ability to incorporate young players while also having wins under your belt
is important.
Is really cool.
That's why the Thunder, I think, for a lot of people was so surprising because forgive me for the pronunciation of his name, Mark Daigneault, or however you say his last name. Daigneault is a lot of people were like, why is he playing a lot of that young core so early? But you get into later postseason basketball and you see all that last year, they were ready for those moments. Like a lot of those players weren't surprised by what, the moment that they were playing in. Because you saw even the year before when they were playing against the Dallas Mavericks, they ultimately lost that series. Yeah. But they had those reps under their belt and then coming into a new season with Chet fully healthy last year. J-Dub fully healthy, Cason Wallace healthy, Shea obviously. Like you have a young core that you're able to rely on for like big minutes, and you don't necessarily need to rely on Alex Caruso as your veteran presence. Obviously it helps, but when you're able to rely on players that young and then just bringing in vets like Caruso makes a huge difference.
And giving them a moment, like you said, I really like that point. Giving them a moment like the Thunder had in that Chris Paul year in the first round against the Rockets that went to a 7-game series, where they were really close to advancing to the second round against the 1 seed. I remember from that series, like, who is this, Lou Dort?
Yeah, Lou Dort. Like, that was his coming out party.
Yeah. If they get an opportunity to do that, and then you get like another year or 2 under your belt of like late game scenarios, working with your teammates in crunch time, getting buckets when it matters most, making defensive stops when it matters most. The Raptors are probably the premier team in that position where they can get those reps. They can take teams to the late game.
Yeah.
Whereas, the young players on the Pelicans aren't getting a lot of late game reps.
No.
But you can take them to the late game, give them a few reps. If you lose, it's okay. Like,
right.
the Cavs did it too in Mobley's first few years with Garland as a young player before the Mitchell trade. And it prepared them better for the Mitchell trade. So they're in that spot right now.
And they're surpassing expectations ultimately. Yeah. Like, I don't think many outlets had them looking like this to begin the season. No. And I think that's kind of what we've been hinting at with these teams. And then, like, the Pistons are another team that we've talked about, but they're surpassing expectations. So as a coach, when you're ahead of schedule like that, it gives you the opportunity to mess with your lineups and really see, like, who's going to contribute for us and kind of get better looks out of that. So.
That's why Taylor Jenkins doesn't want to go to New Orleans.
Yeah.
He wants the luxury to be able to work with those players.
And it's funny because
it's a coach's dream.
He was not necessarily in a similar situation because Memphis was not this bad.
Right.
Jenkins joined the party.
Great young players.
But there's young talent. And so I'm surprised that whether he's going to interview for them or not, we'll see. But that he hasn't taken a job or at least been talked about with that position. So we'll see what he ends up doing. We'll see what New Orleans does ultimately. Hopefully they can figure it out very quickly in the Bayou. So
Caleb, you know what makes a basketball game better? A good broadcast.
It does.
A really good broadcast.
And they've been awesome.
We're getting that this year.
We are.
There's pros and cons. We got to pay for more streaming services.
Yeah.
But the product that has been put on the court, or I guess off the court, but like
they're on the court.
They're kind of on the court.
Yeah.
Are these broadcasts? Peacock and Amazon have introduced themselves to the world. We've been texting a lot about it. ESPN still got a great roster. We're going to talk about all 3. But it's been just more talent coming in.
Yeah.
Every night you could watch a completely different style of broadcast. And we're going to get into that.
No, I think it's awesome. And I was texting you this, and I kid you not, guys. I cried. I physically cried listening to Carmelo Anthony break down basketball. I FaceTime Ryan, and there was tears coming from my eyes.
Yeah.
It's been awesome.
Yeah.
Like, as a journalist, it's like
He's not joking.
I'm not joking. As a journalist, there's this weird kind of dissonance that a lot of people are having with there's not as many journalists covering the game as there once was, right? A lot of more NBA players or former pro athletes are starting to flood in. Mm-hmm. But if I get more Carmelo Anthony or people of that nature that know the game that well, you know what? I'll take it.
On the big screen with their friends who are also very knowledgeable of the game.
Exactly.
And gone through, played some of the NBA's greats. Okay, I think the way that we should do this is I'm going to list, because you've just been you literally cried. I can't live up to that. So I'm going to tell you who's on these rosters.
Yeah.
We'll call them rosters.
Yeah, they are.
And what you've liked, I'll say what I like too. But we got to start with the studio of Peacock.
Yes.
Maria Taylor is running the show.
Awesome.
Carmelo Anthony, Vince Carter, T-Mac, and occasionally
Jordan Excellence.
MJ.
Yes.
What do you think?
I think they've been awesome. Like I said, I've literally cried, but ultimately I think all 3 of those people obviously know the game very well. Melo, no stranger, Vince Carter, T-Mac, probably all 3 going to be Hall of Fame. Well, not probably. They will all be Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
And so I think having that crew with Maria Taylor, who's experienced with NBC, knows the game very well.
A future Hall of Famer herself.
Yeah. And is a very good presence with other people, I think is super important. Like, we've seen her on Sunday Night Football, but she's been able to do a great job with that at that helm. And then Jordan, his Excellence series has been awesome to watch. It's so captivating. Like, he speaks and I'm just like dumbfounded. Mm-hmm. So
Yeah. Bench game analysts. So we've got one play-by-play, and we've got an analyst on the home bench, an analyst on the away bench. Last night, little conflict of interest. Austin Rivers was interviewing his dad, Doc, who's head coach of the Bucks. But we got Reggie Miller, Grant Hill, Jamal Crawford, Derek Fisher, Brian Scalabrine, Brad Daugherty, Cavs legend, and the two that we've seen the most in the early season has been Austin Rivers and Robbie Hummel. What are your thoughts on what you've seen?
They've been awesome. I like the style that Peacock is bringing the two analysts or like color commentators, whatever you want to call them, on the side next to the benches. I think that's a different style that we haven't seen before, but it gives us more insight because it's so easy for them to literally take 2 steps, interview the coach, and give us perspective, thoughts. So I think they've done a really good job of that, but I want to hear your thoughts. I know that you've done play-by-play, so I'm interested to hear what you want to or have thought about the play-by-play and color commentary so far.
There's only one con, and it's that the play-by-play and color are constantly doing nonverbal communication throughout the game. So they're missing that, but I haven't been able to notice.
Right.
I think it's been refreshing, really refreshing, really interesting. Having like the camera on those guys while there's the huddle and right in front of them, it gives you a sense that even if they would have known as much anyway, it gives you a sense that they really are there listening to what the coaches are saying, and they have an expertise on that team.
Yeah.
I think it's refreshing. I think
it
really
is nice. It is nice.
Yeah.
It is nice.
And then Mike Tirico and Noah Eagle are the 1 and 2 play-by-play.
Yeah.
Not much to say about them. They're great.
Legends.
I think the strength of Amazon is their analysts. I think the strength of ESPN is more sideline reporters. They have Lisa Salters and Malika Andrews.
Yes.
And then I think that the play-by-play is really strong there with Mike Breen, Dave Pash, Ryan Rocco, and Mark Jones. Yeah. And then they've got Tim Legler, Richard Jefferson, Doris Burke, Jay Billis, and Bob Myers. All of that is great for me. When Amazon and Peacock come in and start to compete, I was a little worried that they'd lose some of that roster, but it looks really good.
They have had good continuity. Yeah. A lot of other people have stayed, but I am surprised with how well the rollout's been for Peacock and Amazon. Particularly, I was a little worried. I'm like, how is this going to mess up the game? But particularly with Amazon, how they've had that LED court and been able to do sets on the court and we follow along.
Really
beautiful.
Cool. Really
beautiful. Cool. I love that. And we have Steve Nash doing that, which is awesome. Yeah. Seeing a Hall of Famer, former coach not too long ago, right? Be able to transition to that. So it gives us a new perspective that we're able to see. But I'm excited. Yeah. Great broadcast, great basketball. The season's been amazing.
It's been great.
And we have so much more hoops to watch.
And Amazon also, just to mention, Ian Eagle, Kevin Harlan, Michael Grady, who's also at NBC. But then they have the Eric Collins and Del Curry combo.
Yes.
Good job following the trends.
Yes.
Those two guys on the Hornets broadcast have now been promoted to Amazon. They're going to do more nationally televised games. Good on them. Good
they made Hornets games fun.
They do.
So for that to be the case, you have to get national attention. And
great
they've been
job.
doing an amazing job.
Great job.
So
NBA is great.
It's been awesome. Yeah. So every Tuesday and Thursday, tune in here. This has been 303 Hoops. Until next time.